Everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Stacy, and y'all, today I have a Q&A for you. So before we get started, please don't forget to like this video, leave your comments down below, and please share this video if you think it'll help somebody. So let's get right into it. Okay, y'all, this is a question from a video I did a while back. And I had a list of questions, and I was going through all my notes and papers, and I was like, okay, you know what? I got sidetracked. I should have been did this video, but the video that I initially did was a story time, and it was finding out I was pregnant for the with my first child. That was the video. So I'll do the link down below in the description box. God, what is wrong with me? So that you all can check it out. But the question was, let me give you a little background. You know, you're going to have to go back and watch the video to get all the other details. But just a quick run through is I got pregnant at an early age with my first child. And it changed my life tremendously. And it has always affected my life. And it is a lot more to the story, and as time go on, I will share more and more. But this was a question that I was asked, and I was asked a lot of good questions. But this was one question that I was asked, and I want to answer it today. It says, you were a straight A student. Did what happened have any effect on your career decisions? What was your dream job, and did you pursue it or choose not to because you felt unmotivated? Okay. Yes, having a child, and I will say I had my son, my oldest son, 'cause I got 2 boys and 2 girls. I had my oldest son when I was 14, and then I turned 15 3 months later. His birthday is in January, mine's in April, so I turned 3 months up. I turned 15 3 months after having him. Did having him at an early age change my course of life as far as my careers? Absolutely. The first thing was I wanted to go into the Marines. And I took the ASVAB, I passed, and I was like, okay, went to the recruiting office and was in the process of doing the paperwork and everything. And then I was asked, did I have kids? And I was like, yes, I have a son. And they was like, well, I had to give custody to someone else. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. No, I'm not going to do that. You got to understand my history and why when they said that was like the Marines was off the table at that very moment. I'm like, well, I won't be going in the Marines because I'm not giving up my child. To know my backstory is to know that I am an only child by my mother. And that's who my mother's family raised me. So whenever you hear me say I'm an only child, that I'm speaking because I have a half sister and a half brother on my dad's side. Didn't grow up with them. Me and my sister are now starting to have a relationship in the last 5 years. But that's a story for a different day. But as far as being raised with siblings, I'm my mother's only child, and my grandparents raised me. So with that being said, when it was said to me, no one explained to me what they meant by that. And I later found out years down the road, but it was in my head, you're telling me that I got to give my child up. And to tell someone who wasn't raised by their parents, who was raised by their grandparents, and who have always had that void in their life, because I honestly, I'm not going to get deep with it right now, but the truth is, I honestly felt like, I was like, is something wrong with me? Because my daddy is not in my life, my mother's not raising me, my grandparents are raising me. So I really I used to battle with that. Like, is something wrong with me? Because, come on now. And that was, but you gotta understand, that was then. Now I know ain't nothing wrong with me. I know there was nothing ever wrong with me. But at that time in my life, growing up, I didn't know that. And so when it was said that I had to give up my child so I could go to the Marines, that was not going to happen. Because I had always said, didn't try to get pregnant, but I had always said, if I ever had kids, I would never make my kids or want my kids to feel the way that I did. Because I did grow up, if it wasn't for, I had loving grandparents. And I'm not saying my mother didn't love me, but my mother was not there physically. Financially, she took very good care of me. But being there in the physical and the emotional side of things, she wasn't there. That was then. Again, I later found out, truly, I really started understanding more in depth of what took place, because nothing was ever completely and fully disclosed to me or explained to me. And I've learned things, honestly, within the last 5 years. I've learned so much. And then as you learn things begin to make sense. So it started making sense. But then it didn't. But that's for a different day. The question was, did that affect your decision? Yes, it did, because I didn't go into the military because I was not giving up my child. But what it really was, I later found out way down the road, that it wasn't like saying I didn't want my child. It was just giving guardianship to somebody. So if while I was away, if something should happen, that person can make medical decisions and enroll them in school, do all those things that I couldn't do because I was going to be away. Didn't know that. You got to understand. At that time, I was 17, 18, because it was all this took place in my senior year. So I didn't know, and nobody fully explained it to me. So that was my first thing that I was like X'd out. And I always wanted to be an electrical engineer. But I did not become one, again, because I'm like, my mom was even though I started living with my mom when I was 13. I stayed with her from 13 to 16. And then from 16 to 18, I went back to my grandparents. That's different stories for different days. But in that process of doing that, my mom was very strict, very strict, very strict, very strict. And she didn't play about them grades. And the thought of I knew that I was going to have to go to school for a long time. That was going to take away from my child. That was going to be under her thumb, to be honest. And I just didn't want that. And then I was going to have to ask her. She was going to have to help me. And y'all, I grew up with this pride about me, because I never wanted to ask people for anything, because I didn't like being rejected. Because I grew up with a complex of rejection. And that has followed me, y'all. I'm 50, and I just learned how to work through that, honestly. And that fear of rejection have followed me my entire life. And I finally learned how to deal with it, how to handle it. But even at 50, I'm good now. I don't care about being rejected. But for a long time, I did care. And it did affect me greatly. I ended up going to cosmetology school. And because I'm like, I can get in there. I love doing hair. I love doing nails. At the time, I used to love doing makeup. I used to get in trouble for wearing makeup. But I used to do, early in the mornings, I would do different girls' makeup on the stage behind the curtains in the cafeteria when you first get there. So the beauty industry was more of a natural fit. But that was never my first choice. My first choice was Marines and then becoming an electrical engineer. But because I had a child, because in my head, I was not finna let somebody else raise my child and then my child feel like I did. And that just wasn't gonna happen. And now, again, I was young. And I didn't have, and I'm not gonna say I had good people around me, but people can only instill in you what they have in them. So I don't blame my mom. I don't blame my grandparents. I don't blame nobody, because they only could instill in me what was in them. And like I said, later on in life, I found out a lot of things, and then I began. As you get older, you should get wiser. And as I got older, I got wiser, and I began to look at things from a different perspective. I've always looked at them from my perspective, from that 7, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 year old, and then 14, 15. And there was a lot of things that took place in between that just further made me feel a certain kind of way. But I honestly made a conscious decision that if I ever had kids, I would never make my kids feel like I felt. Because y'all, I went through some stuff. I went through a lot of unnecessary stuff. I had this fear of being rejected. So a lot of times I would go without to keep from asking for help. That's why even at 50 years old, let me tell y'all something. With all of this pushing and all this y'all seeing going on now, it's because I'm learning how to accept help. And I'm not finished. She said it was okay. Belinda Joy has really been, she's that driving force behind what y'all seeing right now in these last few weeks. Because she has really been pushing me. It was a lot of things she offered to do for me years ago. I didn't know how to accept help. I'm just learning how to accept it. And the reason why is because I had to get to a point saying, I want something different. And if I want something different, I have to try something different. I can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I had to understand everybody ain't out to hurt you. Everybody ain't out to use you. God put people in your life to help you grow. Learn to accept the help. Pride has cost you so much in your life, Stacy. Pride has cost you so much. Don't keep letting pride get in your way. And so now, y'all seeing a woman who has learned to put her pride aside. It's okay. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And for the first time in my life, I truly have a clear vision of where I want to go and where I'm going and what I want to be. I'm finally walking in my calling. I'm finally walking in my destination. But I had to put pride aside, and I had to understand, because of my childhood, because of the way I felt, because honestly, and this is no shade to my parents, but because of the rejection I had from them, the two people in my life that I felt like should have been there, if they didn't want me, nobody is gonna want me. That was my attitude. That's how I felt. So y'all seeing somebody totally different now. Even just from the earlier part of this year, from last year, I'm not the same. Because in order for me to get where I need to go, I had to put pride aside. And every time that spirit of fear tried to rise up in my life, I shut it down. I rebuke it and I shut it down. Fear will cripple you and it'll rob you of your future. So let me tell y'all something. I'm a work in progress. I'm gonna mess up sometime. I'm not perfect. I've never professed to be. But y'all are seeing a changed woman now. I have changed so much. And I'm so thankful for it. I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for Belinda. It's so many others that I said, but those two right there are really pushing me. I can even say, y'all have seen this subscriber on here named Najwa. Just when somebody even giving you encouraging words and motivational words, that is helping you grow. So I thank each and every one of you, everybody that comment on videos and send me emails and inboxes. I thank y'all. Y'all are all a part of the process. Y'all are all a part of the growth. And I'm telling you, I'm so appreciative. I can't say it enough. For every positive word, every positive action, every positive prayer that I don't even know about. Thank you. I'm appreciative and I'm grateful. And y'all, I'm serious about my life now. I'm serious about working on me and stepping and walking in my destiny. So yes, I'm finna ride this thing till the wheels fall off, because God has given me yet another chance. And I'm not going to forfeit it this time. I promise God that if you give me another chance with my platform, I'm not going to forfeit it this time, because I know what you told me to do with it. So y'all, ain't no more forfeiting. I'm walking all the way in. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Please, please, please don't forget to like this video. Leave your comments down below. And please share this video. I love you, my BSSTs. And I'll see y'all in tomorrow.